to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pone ain't drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message, hit the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pone Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. Adam Ponophobia Cogswell here, introing the show to introduce you to Cereal Box, Dom, Cheerer Jaden, and Punch. Everybody say hello in unison.
Hello in unison.
Wait, what was that intro? You said you were like, I'm going to try out a bunch of new ones. Nope, back to the same one after 2 attempts.
I'm still trying to come up with a really good one. In my
Why
head.
don't that one felt pretty good until other people started talking.
Dude,
I know, maybe that's the issue. No, maybe in our docs we should all have comments on what you should do and vote on it. And that would be what, like, we'd have some input into this on the front end.
We've done over 400 shows. We're past the stage of this being a democracy.
No, let's workshop this. We can workshop this.
I'm not workshopping shit.
You're not working shop? Let's go.
He's working dad's shop.
The intro is, hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast, and our slogan is, we're cooking with gas.
Fuck that. I listened to that episode, and the statement at the end of it by Don that just said, if Mitch was here, he would have quit by now, was about how I felt like almost hitting the pause button and just closing the whole episode by the end of it.
Wow, Dom knows me very well.
Yeah,
and yet you stuck through with it.
I wanted
like
to get up and walk away.
Eyes.
It wasn't hard to sense how Mitch would feel.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if you want to support us and the Trinity Force Network, you can do so on Patreon, patreon.com/TForce Network. Go sign up for $10 a month. The Poppy and Alawi Champion Selects are out and ready for you to listen to. I have an Urgot Champion Select to release this week, and I think we have one more in the works. I was talking to Days about it a little bit. So we will have 2 of those for you for this month, and we'll have 2 in January, etc., etc. And very shortly as well, I want you all to know that I'm going to be setting up Patreon so that if you sign up for $10, it'll just automatically take the $10 out of your account and give you access to everything, right?
That's so nice of you.
Oh, instead of billing it at a month like it was doing, like you had to wait till like the next cycle to get in, which is kind of, it's not counterintuitive, but it's not really helpful either.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it makes more sense. Like you might have $10 left over after paycheck or whatever it is, and you want to donate it to us. You know, you can do that. Unfortunately, Patreon did not have that option up until December. So as of December 1st, I can turn that option on. I just need to jump in there, take a look at it, and do that. As well, if you can donate that way. I'm going to turn that on here in the middle of the month. You can also, I just want everyone to know that we are now doing community game nights every single Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. It used to be community ranked night for League of Legends, but we decided to open it up to all games since we have Overwatch and General Gaming Podcast, and there's lots of multiplayer games. There's Hearthstone. Yeah, there's anything. You can go
Those
there.
Are the only games we know. We know Hearthstone, League of Legends, Overwatch, and General.
The only way I know if a game exists is if we have a podcast for it.
And you can also go sign up for Dungeons and Dragons as well. You can probably find like a pick up Dungeons and Dragons team if you want to. But all you have to do is you can either check it out on the T-Force Network subreddit or just join in at discord.trinityforcenetwork.com. That'll put you right into our Discord chat. You go to the looking for group chat in there and you just say, hey, I'm this. I want to play this. Let's do it. And people will find you. And you might have to spam it a little bit because obviously not everybody's playing. I mean, not everyone's playing all the games, so don't be discouraged if you just post in there, you don't find anybody right away. There are people that want to play everything. I think last week we had an Overwatch game going and a bunch of League of Legends games, so we're growing. Community game night every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern time. Every Tuesday night, no matter what.
There's like 12, 15 people in there right now playing World of Warcraft, so there you go.
Yeah,
you'll find people.
We are going to jump right into patch 6.24 because there is a lot of discussion. Specifically, I think we're going to spend a solid 20 minutes on Rylais by itself. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to read some of your reviews that you left on iTunes. So if you want to leave us one, go ahead and I'll read that out because I kind of like what people have been saying. It's fun. It's
real quick in the middle of us recording this, leave a review, and we'll be able to pull it off by the end of this episode.
I don't have my Mac with me, so I can't.
That would be cool, though.
But maybe.
I think
I'll just
Can we please get on to the patch notes?
Yes, we can. All right, let's start with the top because we've had a couple episodes based on red and blue buffs, specifically red buff into Krugs, and all of that has been kind of reworked this patch a little bit. So first, we're going to talk about red and blue buffs and how that red and blue buff now last 120 seconds all game rather than 120 for the first clear and 90 thereafter. So no matter who gets it, gets 120. Now, the big changes here is that on red buff, the basic attacks no longer deal a tick of red buff's damage on hit. However, it still does apply and refresh the effect.
So it's like when Teemo attacks, he applies the debuff, but he also deals that tick of damage immediately. That's no longer happening with red buff because you're like that's just additional damage. Especially that's going to hurt tower pushing. Tower pushing with red buff is so strong because you get all those like that constantly refreshing. You're getting auto attacks. Like imagine if you were just auto attacking a champion that wasn't moving when you just had red buff. It's going to do a lot more damage than you think. Same thing with turrets. This is going to hurt that a lot.
I mean, it does hurt it, but it's also offset by the fact that now it's lasting 30 seconds longer throughout the entire length of the game if you have it. So, like, as long as you're constantly attacking things or people, ultimately you should be able to hit them with more red buffs. It's just not going to do the on-hit damage anymore.
There's a chance that the high MMR and pro players would notice this type of thing because it's incidental damage in the grand scheme of things to most of us, but that could be the difference between one auto attack for in some cases, and they could totally notice that. But I don't know. I doubt the majority of people are ever going to actually notice that little change on red buff.
I think the blue buff difference, the blue buff change, what they took away is it's interesting. It's just to steal from Adam, blue buff no longer grants 15% AP.
Right.
So,
I spoke with Foxdrop about this a bit because at first I was kind of mad. I'm like, well, Fiddlesticks is already struggling out of the jungle. Why are you removing more of his power? But that 15% AP doesn't really do anything for anybody early, even Fiddlesticks, as he walks out, because he doesn't really have that much AP. This is more tuned for the mid and late game when you start handing the buff off to
it's going to be 4 or 5 AP in the early game? If that.
I hadn't even thought about that, and he brought that point up, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. That 15% AP doesn't really do much.
I think that the 30 seconds will outweigh this in the sense that there's also a number of champions that were getting absolutely nothing from it. Like, let's say you got a mid lane Jace. He's not getting shit off of that. He's not getting 15% AP on if he had anything like 5 AP somehow. I don't even know I'm thinking of Ignite when it was off cooldown in season 2. But like there's no it's specifically for AP mid laners, and I mean the ADs don't get anything. They don't get that love. So I think that's a good change and giving some power back with the longevity of the buff instead. I like it.
I wonder if this sort of lessens the impact of the MR aura from Aegis of the Legion being gone. Like, I wonder if they actually looked at the numbers and realized that blue up is why we feel like we are getting hit so much harder by magic damage and everything, and not necessarily, the aura's gone and everybody feels that. But I wonder if blue buff was actually a bigger culprit than anybody realized.
I also just realized I really messed up considering all the mids I'm playing right now are mana AP mids. Like Ari and Victor are gonna be unhappy to lose that 15% AP, but maybe I'll like having more spam ability.
I think that the mids are gonna start to shift a little bit. Obviously I don't know how the meta is gonna shape
I'm just learning them.
But with an extra 30 seconds on these buffs,
you're fine.
Well, with an extra 30 seconds on these buffs, like Corki and Pokey champs could potentially see some plays in mid lane because that gives some, he gives you that extra time to mow down a turret or siege on somebody, whatever it be. I mean, that's not going to force anything to come out, but I think it's something to consider that with blue buff lasting longer, if any of those champions are seeing any kind of significant buffs to their ability to poke, we might be seeing those more start shifting into the mid lane. Especially now that Rylais has got a nerf.
Ezreal comes to mind with that. Like getting 30 more seconds, doesn't care about AP, but needs the extra mana from your mana procs.
Ezreal needs a build path that is not shitty. His power,
I need that too.
Yeah,
a build path that works better with his power spikes.
Right. Let's talk about Red Brambleback not Red Brambleback. Let's talk about Krugs before I guess we can talk about the Red Brambleback.
Brambleback is so that's an easy conversation. Yeah. 6 less MR, done. All right, good talk.
That's just so like Fiddlesticks, Diana, those types of champions can clear it a little bit better. they just found Fiddlesticks in particular, I think, was struggling with it the most.
Well,
There we go.
Krugs,
Move
so-
on with your life.
Go ahead. Did Punch, were you saying something? Did I hear your voice?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope. I had nothing to say
I thought
whatsoever.
I did. All right. Well, Punch has nothing to say about these changes.
Nope. Don't
So
care.
the Ancient Krugs no longer grants the extra. It now grants 62.5 experience rather than 125 on your very first kill of it, meaning you're not hitting level 3 if you're killing Krugs after red. That's the long and the short of it.
Hey, guess who's all right with that?
Everybody.
Hey, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Bot laner's cool with that. Top laner's cool with that.
I mean, as cool.
I don't care about mid lane.
I think the only people who aren't cool
with
with it are like the really abusive junglers.
Yeah, I mean, it is fun. It is fun to be able to hit level 3 when people are almost still level 1 and then go.
Oh
and
yeah,
crush
that's real
them.
fun.
But it's not healthy for the game at all.
One thing I'm curious to see, and I mentioned this in our we had a fun little comment thread going on when we were talking about this today. I'm curious to see when people are going to take Krugs now, because whenever you take it for that first time, you're still going to have that experience penalty. And if you're somebody who's going to power farm the jungle, you want to get that out of the way as soon as
As quick as
possible,
you
I
can.
would think, because then you start getting the enhanced experience Krugs as opposed to the Krugs that are, I think, just worth the same amount as pretty much any other
I mean,
camp.
if anything, you'll still be running probably the same path where if you're starting red buff, you're going to go red to Krugs and then move on to something else just so that you can get the respawn on Krugs with the upped XP as quickly as possible.
And Adam, you were asking about the potential of getting a buff camp Scuttle, and I'm pretty sure because Scuttle's 75 experience, that more than makes up for this difference, that you should be hitting level 3 off those 3, which is, of course, much slower. Scuttle's not exactly easy to take, especially if you have no hard CC to put on it to drop its MR and armor.
Back when we talked about the jungle and the experience in depth, and then they changed Krugs. But back then, the calculations that person really did factor in getting the Scuttle camp. So, and that was one of the fastest ways to get to level 3. So
Right now, Raptor, one small Raptor, red and Krugs will hit you level 3 as well. So
that's kind of cool.
You could kind of go red, take a small Raptor, then go to Krugs and hit your level 3. Obviously, you're going to be taking a little extra damage because it's going to be hard to pull just a small camp. But
you say that, but like it I don't think that would be that bad. Like
it's not going to be terrible.
It would be.
though.
No, it'd be so easy. If anything, you'd end up probably taking 2 attacks from another Raptor,
just
maybe
like
3,
just
and
do
get
a
out.
drive-by on the
Yeah.
Raptor camp when you're going to gank mid. Just like, all right, here I'm gonna take one. Boom! All right, here I go. It's ganking time.
I mean,
Most Mastodon.
most champions can use some ability in an auto to basically like half-second combo one of the little Raptors anyway.
Right. So that's something to note now. Yes, you can go straight to Scuttle Crab and take that. And you will take some additional damage. You'll get hit by 3 of the small Raptors at least once if you walk up there no matter what. So you are going to take a little extra damage. But I guess it's better than being blue side and having to tank the entire Gromp Blue and Wolves to hit 3.
Yeah, I think you could still do the same thing in Blue Gromp into Scuttle. Like, you're still getting a lot of free health off of it, regardless of if you're going Talisman or Machete, just because auto attacks heal you. And it's not exactly fighting back. It just takes a bit longer and is a bit more risky because it's in the middle of the map instead of over in your own safe little jungle. I think that people, anyone who's like not clearing very healthily, just goes and does that anyways, because you're getting a bunch of free health, and on the kill it gives you a burst of health too.
I mean, it does that, and it also provides the free vision if you can get it early as well, which is nice to have. Plus, if you're feeling gracious, not only could you pick up Scuttle for that free vision, you also throw a ward kind of close to enemy Raptor camp, or it's sort of, in the brush near one of the entrances, so you can also see if somebody's going to invade or if they're leaving your jungle and they're taking your side anyway.
Couldn't you just as easily now do red Raptor camp Scuttle?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
I think you might take more damage there.
Yeah. I mean, you can. But
it depends on the
Depends on
jungler.
who you are, of course. Yeah.
Like
you
Vi's
can't-
not taking that much damage.
But that
Not too
comes.
easy.
This
Shyvana's
comes back
gonna
to
clear
the whole debate on whether or not we want to clear Krugs as quickly as possible to get the extra XP camp like spawned quicker, or if we're just going to ignore that camp entirely for whatever amount of time, which I if you can set it up, I would say it's arguably more beneficial to kill that Krugs camp early so you can get the bigger XP bonus. But if you're playing a jungler who can't do all of that,
I guess it's a matter of if you're. It's a matter of if you're fighting for level 6 quickly. If you're power fighting for 6, yeah, go for it. Like, you need to get that. You need to boost the amount of experience in your jungle. But I think the other problem with going red Raptors now is that the benefit of Raptors before was when you were down a level to them, you got so much bonus XP from that level differential. Now that won't exist after you've taken red, so you suddenly lose out on a ton of that the experience you were hoping to get. That was the whole reason you took it early. I think that might.
Raptor camp is still one of the more brutal camps early too.
What if you were Maokai and dropped like 2 or 1? Yeah, 2. Probably you could just drop 2 of your saplings over at Raptors.
Let's do math.
You should be able to kill the Raptors without being there. I know Shaco can, right? Like Shaco could drop a box and kill a single Raptor by himself. Like you could do it without being there and continue on with your path. You get a little less damage early, but like the whole conversation rolls around how fast can I get level 3 to gank, and stopping at Raptors to take 1 and then go over to Krugs means that bot lane will likely be level 2. No matter what, I think no matter which way you shake it, no matter which way you're doing it, bot lane's hitting level 2 before you can get down there at level 3.
Yeah, that's for sure. But that was absolutely needed. I mean, those level 3 versus level 1 ganks were just brutal.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you're not in good luck there. 2 Maokai saplings would deal 160. They have 65 more health than that at level 1. So that sucks.
3.
Well, what if you could throw 1, right? Like as soon as it spawns, you could throw 1 on top of it and get the extra splash damage. Would that be enough?
Then
let me hit the back button.
Slowing down your red recall.
I mean, you're slowing down your red. You're slowing down your red recall no matter what because you were dropping saplings to start the.
Nope, wouldn't be enough.
I recall. I misspoke.
Wouldn't be enough. That'd be 200 damage. Still 25 short.
I thought maybe that
need some AP. I don't know. That's so hypothetical for one champ. But I like the idea though of trying to get something out of it, especially if you got like a bunch of them at once. That'd be pretty cool. But
that's what it is. You're not hitting level 3 as quickly as you were previously. So
this does put a lot more pressure on laners to really pay attention to what their jungler is doing right around the Scuttle camp. Because there's reason to believe that going forward there's going to be a lot more contesting of that specific thing, since that's the way to get a way to get a quick level 3. You were always supposed to do that, but there's a difference between supposed to do that and then now the jungler reliably going for that camp.
It's going to put a little more onus on the laners to pay more attention to that, but it also opens up a little bit more freedom for laners to push in ways that is way more similar to past seasons.
Oh, for sure. Every other season.
Yeah, case in point, this recent weekend, I was playing against a Talon Vi in top lane, and Vi ends up doing the red buff to Krugs, hits level 3, and camps the shit out of me in lane with Talon. Just sat up there so long that, and I've told you guys this, but sat up there so long that I died twice and never got an experience disadvantage to the Talon because that's how long Vi sat in lane. But like, that was at the second wave of minion spawn when that happens, where somebody's level 3 and they have red buff. That's not like it's going to be really, really nice to not have to be that worried about the push or pull until like a wave or 2 later than that, rather than just, hey, like if I pushed a little too hard early, I'm just zoned out of XP and farm for however long this jungler decides to sit around, because there's no way I can take 2 people, and if they get, the jungler at that point could solo most people 1v1 anyway.
My suspicion is that this just gets us back to the way the game.
Yeah, most definitely.
We're used to the game. The jungle itself might have too much power. Too much influence over the course of the early game. But you can make a counter argument that if the jungler's not going to have a lot of influence over the early game, then when should they have it?
Yeah.
I want to see, and this will be my final point on jungle, I hope for a while. I we haven't seen a patch. This is 2 in a row now that have had experienced jungle changes. Like they're still trying to settle it. I think that once we have once they figure out exactly what they want to do, we can have like jungle's affecting the game. It's like it has for a patch, and now I guess for 2 patches, but it's going to stop. Like they're not. They can't keep changing this.
I only bring that up.
The problem isn't that the jungle is affecting the game. It's the problem that it's not equal on both sides. It's not equally affecting the game no matter where you start, right? Like what are you giving up by starting blue? Likely nothing. So until they can make it so that the jungle can affect the game early by hitting 3, maybe 1 minion or 2 minions before you do, or whatever it may be, and you make that equal on both sides, you make the clear time equal on both sides, then you have to continue to do those nerfs, or you have to continue to do those adjustments to the jungle camps to we're honestly at this point we're really talking like some major. I don't want to call it major high level play, but that's really what we're discussing.
Well,
Super macro level play.
With the current iteration of the jungle, junglers that know very well what they're doing are oppressive as fuck to laners early. Like way more so than any other probably point we've been at in League in recent memory,
and that's
which is
why I
awesome.
brought it up.
I mean, that's awesome if you're a jungler who can take advantage of that, but like there
that's why I brought it up, because Ghostcrawler actually said something to the effect that he thinks that the jungle has too much influence in the game right now, certainly at the high level. He brought this up before Worlds happened, so this is certainly not a new issue or an issue specific to the preseason. It's a larger prevailing issue, and I think the changes here really just get back to the issue that we always felt going on, instead of, oh my god, the jungler is going to murder me before I'm even at a level to do anything.
Before I move on to the next topic, because as I figured, we've spent a lot of time on this topic, is that if you do decide to do the Raptor, cheese or whatever you want to call it, you have to clear small Raptor first, then do red, then do Krugs to hit level 3, because of the way the experience works. You can't do the red, then Raptor, then Krugs. So just keep that in mind if you decide to do it that way. Let's go ahead and move on down our list, because we have a lot more to talk about. We still have to argue about Rylais before Serial jumps on out of here. So masteries are also being changed right now, or a few of them are, and they're more of the problematic or not problematic masteries, so the severely undertuned ones. Courage the Colossus has having changed. The cooldown is now 45 to 30 seconds based on level, and the shield per enemy is 5% with a 25% maximum. That was at 7%. So the shield amount went down, and the time that it takes to rocket it went up.
Thank goodness. Sadly, I don't know if this actually changes very much at all.
Well, it makes it so that the shield's not up every time or every wave.
Nice.
It's every wave and a half. So
really what this boils down to for me, so like someone like Maokai, right? Every time I think of Courage the Colossus, I think of Maokai, because it's just perfect for him. Because he's going to get that every time he W's in. He has no reason not to W in, because he gets the shield. He's unkillable, and he loves it. So he's still taking this. What about someone like Darius? Darius was someone who was kind of abusing this, who was kind of like, this is a champion where you really don't think he's going to take something like Courage of the Colossus, and yet all of a sudden he starts taking it, and you can't trade with him in lane, you can't kill him during team fights, and he's just murdering everyone. He became a huge problem because of this mastery.
Is there a reason for Darius to take any other mastery? Is there a better mastery for him? The answer is likely no.
Right now,
Grasp isn't
the
there.
other one, Grasp.
He still has good options. Grasp of the Undying is still a good option. I don't think... I'm looking at this, and I still think Courage of the Colossus is probably better for him.
Yeah, I think so too.
It seems like that it's better no matter what, because if you're going damage, then the shield, it's not like the shield scales with any of your items or your health or anything. It's it scales with your health. I'm sorry,
right.
But it's not your items, So you are still getting that big shield, and that means you can absorb a bunch of damage while you're dealing it out. And if you're going full tank, you want the shield anyway because you're a tank. I mean, it's sort of
right.
To me, it seems like there's no question on Darius.
So numbers wise, let's for a hypothetical 3,000 health target, you're losing 60 shield per enemy champion that's around with this nerf. So that's pretty substantial in team fights that are almost always going to have 5 members around on a frontline target. I think the bigger change though is the extra 15 seconds that it bumps up the cooldown at early ranks, where you're kind of just getting a free shield. Not that like I don't know, what would that be at early ranks, like like 20 health maybe. It's not crazy early, but that you would get for free in lane whenever you wanted to CC somebody or start a fight that you just get. That 45 seconds instead of 30, I think will be a lot more impactful than people might think.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that's really. I hope that opens up the window long enough for you to actually trade against some of these mega tanks that take Courage of the Colossus, so you can, I don't know, maybe do damage to them.
Do you think Poppy's still going to take it?
I don't think so. That was actually the one scenario I wanted to bring up. People that are champions that could use Courage of the Colossus and sometimes did just because of how powerful it was. Poppy falls into that category. I don't necessarily think it's good on her though. I actually don't like Courage of the Colossus on Poppy
because her using Courage of the Colossus is situational. It's based
her
on
CC is too situational. It's too unreliable.
No, I mean her E should proc it no matter what. That's still hard CC. You move somebody even if it's not a stun. Oh wait, no, it's stun, isn't it? It's not displacement.
Yes.
No wait, but Trundle E works on it.
What? It does? If you knock them up with
Trundle
it?
E works.
I think a knockup counts. I'm pretty sure Poppy's charged.
Trundle's E works, but it's really, really tough to get it with Trundle's E, and that's why people don't.
I was just thinking of an example of just displacement that would have.
But Darius is a displacement.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I think one thing that people may forget about with Poppy is that Grasp is really good with her buckler because that still counts as a melee attack, so she gets full.
That's why I went.
That's
why I went to Poppy. Is between her shield, her already kit built durability, it seems like Grasp is a little bit better just because damage.
And she's supposed to be doing long fights like that anyway. And Darius would benefit from that too, but he kind of has the same effect as an Alawi who can end up getting super low, get a ton of shields and a ton of heals based on missing health, which lets them stay in the fight longer. Those shields compound that significantly because they don't count as health that's restored. You still have missed all that health, so when you swing your axe, you get a shit ton of health back no matter what.
Or Alawi can't take courage.
Nah, she don't.
Poor Alawi.
Well,
she's not enough of a lane bully, right?
Yeah, right. Let's talk about Fervor of Battle. It still sucks. Moving on to the next.
Wow, that is.
Fervor of Battle is still trash. It's pretty
comparing
trash.
to what it used to be.
It's
1 to 14 damage.
So they changed it. Stack duration now lasts for 6 seconds. Maximum stats went down by 2. It's now 8. AD per stack is now 1 to 8 at levels 1 to 18. It was 1 to 6. Max AD is now 8 to 64 from 10 to 60. So you gain a little bit more as you level up. But the problem is it's still based on basic attacks, and if you're ranged, you still only gain 1 stack per basic attack. If you're melee, you gain 2, so it's a little bit better maybe for Renekton, but I still think as long as Courage Colossus is there, he's probably not going to be taking it.
I do wish they would change this so that abilities had some type of interaction with it, but aside from that, I appreciate that they're being very slow and delicate with this because it being, just straight attack damage as opposed to on-hit physical damage could make a lot of champions really, really run wild and become problems in ways that are more infuriating than Courage of the Colossus is. So I am very on board with the slow and steady approach that Riot's taken here.
What I think is interesting is they've tweaked around with pretty much every iteration they can think of, because last season it was abilities and attacks make this happen, but you get on-hit damage. Now they flipped it, and it's only basic attacks give you AD, so they can affect your abilities, but abilities can't make it happen. And they're dancing with that because if you ever have a situation where abilities and auto attacks give you stacks, but it gives you AD, that's way too strong.
There are a lot of champions who suddenly get out of control.
Yeah, it's ridiculous if that ends up being what they settle on, which they'd have to either roll down the numbers a ton. Yeah, it'd be absurd. So it is smart that they're doing it this way, because they haven't had a if they ever did that patch would be, instead of us talking about junglers, it would be.
They don't have a choice otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Well, someone like Kayle is still taking this and having a lot of success in the top lane. Kayle's a monster.
Well, does she count as? Does she count? Oh, wait. She has to count as range. She has to count as range because she could use Hurricane.
Don't pick Kayle. I will continue picking Kayle, but you listeners should have not.
Punch that half-heartedly.
Please never pick her.
Kayle sees a lot of success through this mastery because she's doing mixed damage, and so it's hard to mitigate the types of damage. Excuse me, it's hard to mitigate the types of damage that she's doing based on the fact that
she can't mitigate because she's shredding. She's shredding your resistance. It doesn't matter what you do.
It's it's a fantastic mastery for her. I don't see how they can buff this anymore without, and it's not just Kale too. I mean, I don't know how they can.
She's
How they
number
can
one
make
in
this
top.
better without making those heroes like fall out of control.
Yeah,
Spiral
Ginsu's
out of
buff,
control.
baby.
She's infuriating to play against. Don't tell
Ginsu's
people.
buff. All right, we have 15 minutes until Serial has to jet the fuck out of here, and I want to get to Rylais because I think he has some things to say, and that conversation is going to last a bit. So, Rylai's Crystal Scepter. I feel like you do. I don't know. Maybe it's just because Sean has the look on his face, and Sean really hates it. But so the Rylai's Crystal Scepter has been mana. I'm sorry, guys. Rylai's Crystal Scepter has been changed this patch. It is no longer builds out a needlessly large rod and giant spell. Instead, it builds out a blasting wand and ruby crystal and amplifying tome. Right, amplifying tome was in the old too. Because of that, the total cost has gone down to 2,600 gold. The amount of health you get is down to 300 gold. The amount of ability power you get down to 75 gold. Now, one of the larger changes on this.
75.
Sorry, down to 75
Good
ability
health and
power.
75 ability power.
The slow no longer changes based on if it's AoE or whatever it may be. It is now 20% for 1 second in all cases.
Yeah.
Sean,
So that's
you wanted to say something. I guess you were
right.
you were ready to just jump in. And
You
talk
love this
about
item. Cheer wants to buy some every game.
I really fucking liked what Rylai's was like before. I don't want them to change this. And it's selfish because it's me being a little crybaby about not wanting this to be changed. But like I personally thought that buying like the Needless felt like such an awesome break point for an item to buy going into this, because like once you got it with this, knowing you were building towards it on the champions that I was playing to get this item, this is where I felt like my damage was really starting to ramp up. And yes, I'm probably still going to feel that way a bit with the blasting wand, but I don't think it's going to be. I mean,
Well,
it's
I don't think
not
you're
going to be
rushing it anymore.
No, but I wasn't rushing this before. This was like, I mean, this was depending on how the game was going at this point. Like, let's go Swain, for example, just because if it was a team that I didn't need to rush Azonia's against, I really like picking up a Rylai's second, maybe third item. Like you go Roa like Hextech, GLP into most of the time into Azonia's, but like if I didn't have to buy it and if I didn't need a Spirit Visage, I picked this up because like a Needless, the damage increase from the Needless on its own feels so good before people start building any MR. Like if you can get that one piece early, you feel really, really, really strong.
And then having like they took the needlessly large rod out of the game, it still builds into 3
right. No, that's still in the game, but it's not a step on the way to an item that I was already buying anyway. Like now that item doesn't fit in like any build that I would want to go, because I'm not building like
now you actually have to decide whether or not you want to have Rylai's Crystal Scepter for what it does, instead of it being the ubiquitous
I want it for both.
item.
I told you this is selfish.
He wants his cake and he wants to eat it too. God damn it!
I know how Shira feels. I know what Shira feels. This goes back to,
and I want all the health in the fucking game, and I'm very disappointed that I can't have all those things.
Remember when they changed all the magic items? That was that last season, mid-season mage update. They all one of the things they wanted to do was change it so that you could get a needlessly large rod and then have choices.
Yes.
So it wasn't just large rod into Rabadons. Now it was large rod into Rabadons or Rylais or Ludens, and it felt really good to have these 3 distinct choices. The problem is Rylais was just the choice every time because it was so good now.
Well, I mean,
because it gave you so much AP and health, survivability, and the utility in the slow.
I mean, it gave mages that had no or like non-reliable CCs some sort of CC too. Like the utility on that item's awesome. Rylais has been good for that reason in and of itself. But I liked big stats on it. I really I liked it a lot.
Somebody get out the whiteboard and write on there, Sean likes big stats. And we're going to use that from now on. Whenever there's a nerf to an item, we're going to be like, did this nerf lose big stats? Sean is going to hate it. Check.
Yeah.
This is a buff to supports.
It is.
Yep.
Okay.
This is a buff to specifically Brand and Zyra, and to a lesser extent Vel'Koz.
Support Brand needs a buff.
Yeah, because the item going from 3,200 gold to 2,600 gold makes it very, very attainable, and supports for the most part, or support mages for the most part, were always prioritizing things that were giving them both damage and utility. So Brand and Zyra being able to, I mean, this is a core item. Like, once outside your Sightstone and support item, this was the first item you were getting. Now it means you can get it faster, and you're actually going to have the type of impact you wanted to have that, but you were being delayed.
Do you know what I have to say about those 2, maybe 3 champions? Fuck them. I am completely okay if they went away from support for like another season and we didn't see them at all in that role, because like
I'm not saying they needed that buff. I'm saying that's what this is.
I have to defend it though.
It is a buff. It is a buff to them.
The proof is in the pudding, Sean. It's right there.
He's saying who should be happy about it, not anything else.
Okay, so they're happy about it, but we talked about this a little bit too. There are a lot of champions that took the version of Rylais that they just nerfed, that were very, very strong, and they ended up changing those champions. So we'll go back to the Vladimir example for that. So they ended up changing Vlad. If anything, this just ends up hurting that champion more well.
That I completely agree with. There are a bunch of champions that got balanced around Rylais being in the game the way it was. Vlad, Talia, Azir, coming immediately to mind, and now it's garbage. They were already struggling. Azir's got some buffs on this patch, but Riot has been pretty open about saying we want to see what happens with Rylais before we do more with Azir. But they haven't talked about Vlad or Talia. Talia's been in the dumpster for a long time. And I think Rylais was interacting with her the stone throwing ability. I think it's a Q. I think it was interacting incorrectly. That was supposed to be considered an AoE type effect, and it was functioning like single target. Mm-hmm. So
I think one I was just toying around while that rant went through. I think one of the other reasons for this change is that like we said earlier, it's kind of a no-brainer buy, especially not only on mages that are low on CC or have difficult CC to hit, but also on mages who are immobile, because it gives them kite ability. Right. It gives them all the things. You get health and damage, and now you're trading out what was a top level AP item for a lesser tier one. Kind of the same thing that happened to Zhonya's. Zhonya's was a top level AP item when it had needlessly large rod built into it, and it was one of the it was probably one of the 5 core items you could build to get the highest AP you wanted. Yeah, now you take that away a little bit because you drop it 25, but make it more affordable. I think it's smart to hurt the things that everyone's buying. That same kind of itemization happened with the Marksman update. You made it so Infinity Edge into Static Shiv wasn't the only build path. Now you're having a little bit more opportunity to do something different, but you're sacrificing for getting that CC.
I've been waiting 10 minutes to make that goddamn argument, but Sean wouldn't shut the fuck up and bitching. Literally was gonna make that fucking argument for 10 goddamn minutes, and I'm just waiting for my moment to get in here. And then Serial's like,
"You were talking right before Mitch."
They could also just end up nerfing the slow a bit too. I'd be all right with that a bit.
Well, that's his identity though.
No, I know they did, but like
Sean wants his big goddamn item. Look at the whiteboard, guys. What does it say?
No,
does it have big stats? Sean hates it.
So good. It feels so good to get a Rod of Ages and then build this third item and have it just be the culmination of like the Roa is stacked and I have all of these extra stats from the Rylais, and that like third item power spike of being tanky as fuck on an AP bruiser is one of the most satisfying things.
Sean,
that of
us like an easy power curve. This goes like this. Sean likes flatlining until you fucking just jump onto the summit of the mountain.
Just get Rod of Ages and then a Hextech GLP.
I'm not going to get both of those.
Get both.
No.
GLP is gold efficient without the active or the passive. You're going to be tanky and durable as hell. You're going to be telling me to get all
3 of them now. That'd be great.
That's a great idea.
I totally forgot to mention the Hextech items, but I had meant to when I was thinking about it, because the CC / mobility you get from those is also on that same level of AP, but also on a cooldown. Like you still have to use a cooldown to use those. So I think that it's... I like this change. Again, I am one of the main mages I'm playing right now. Victor loves this item. I'm probably going to be a bit unhappy, but it's not really going to hurt his E too much, his Q a little bit.
If anything, you're going to be reaching farther into your build than you were previously. I mean, you should be closing the gap on other items you might not have been able to afford just because of the price reduction on this, which will be nice. It's just you're not going to see as much of a spike when you get this item. And I guess just for the people that I've been playing recently, that's not going to feel as great because like the Rylais spike is super noticeable. And I didn't want to have to change up my play style to coincide with this item change.
Well,
and I'm gonna have
I am more bored than everything.
We are going to end that conversation there with that. Sean is mad because he doesn't like change what he is doing. Nope. We're ending. You don't get a chance to defend yourself.
Right,
You've had 10 minutes of standing on the soapbox.
It's cool. That's all right.
And we have a lot to get through still with this patch.
The Haunting Guys Leandri stuff, they reduced the gold by the cost by 100. It's 3,100 instead of 32. And Riot just came out and says, like, we're nerfing a lot or Rylais, and there are a handful of champions where Rylais Leandris is the core build. If we're nerfing Rylais, we wanted to give those champions a little bit of a bone so they can get to that 2-item spike a little bit faster.
There we go.
That's it. Done.
Cool.
100 gold.
All right, Akali, twin disciple, or discipline. Excuse me, twins
Disciplines.
disciplines. Her passive can now be used against structures.
All right, so now her first auto attack on structures will heal her, and her second one will do more damage to the structure.
But that puts her in with Aurelia and Xin Zhao as champions who can auto attack structures and heal themselves.
Mind you, once she uses that, it goes on its own little like internal cooldown for like 8 seconds or something like that. But even still, like it's gonna be nice to be able to. Oh hey, I can smack this turret and get health back if I want to.
I can push it harder.
Yeah.
Azir, Shurima's legacy is passive. The AD scaling has gone up to 4 per minute from 3 per minute, but the enemy reward when destroyed has been gone down to 50 gold from 100. Additionally,
that's the turret. That's the turret's AD, guys. Like in case you thought Azir had some weird AD scaling over time.
The turret does a little bit more damage now.
And it's worth less if you take it. I actually didn't know it was worth any gold. I just assumed it was 0.
I mean, it has to be, right? Like, what would be the point of
Does
putting
it?
it up? Yeah, it does.
What would be the point of putting it up? Excuse me?
No, that's not what I meant by that. Like, what would be the point of like obviously you want to kill it to move on.
The point of killing it would, there's already a point to killing it.
There's a pretty strong point to killing it and everything. It's hampering your progress.
Hey guys, let's jump on my let's jump on my misspoken sentence. Right, that's a really good podcast shtick we got going there, boys. Jesus Christ, you're all fucking idiots.
Self-heckling? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're the ones that can't pronounce words.
Hey,
let's talk about Arise.
Don't reference one of the iTunes reviews in the middle of our podcast with a bunch of idiots.
I'll do it at the very end. Arise, charge cooldown has been decreased to 10.9876 seconds. So you get W a little bit more quickly.
2 seconds at all ranks.
So what did they say? That means it's now easier to get 3 soldiers up, which... He doesn't deserve to have 3 soldiers up. It's terrible. Yeah. I hate it when this champion is strong. He is not fun to play against at all. And, it's one of those, every time Azir is on your team, he's terrible. On the opponent team, he's great.
He may as well be the best player that's ever played.
I was really happy when he was in the dumpster. And then even buffing him a little bit. I don't like it.
I mean, he's crawling out of the dumpster. He's still in it, though.
Yeah. Good. Stay there.
Katarina, Veracity, passive. Daggers deal slightly more damage at all levels, scaling faster early but more slowly later. So damage at levels 1 and 18 are roughly unchanged. The damage difference peaks at level 10. So essentially, she just has a different curve with how her daggers are doing damage.
Her picking up daggers, mind you, it's not the Q. It's when you pick them up and she does a little blade whirl is the damage they're talking about.
It's weird. Like it's in the. It's that weird like mid game thing. The numbers are actually a lot like surprisingly big. They're just not what you expect anymore.
I don't really think there's enough Katarina mains to really spend too much time on it. There you go. If you want to be a Katarina main, have
she
fun
gets
with it.
banned a lot for some reason.
There's no Katarina mains when I'm around.
I don't ever see. I mean, the only time I see Katarina bans is because Chira. Other than that, I never see it.
Because I do it for the principle that matters. Oh, it's so funny.
All right, LeBlanc base stats. Her health regen has been decreased to 7.4. Health regen growth stat has been decreased to 0.55 or 0.8. So she's getting less health and she's getting less health back just by passively standing around, which is probably good for a champion that is meant to all in you, and then if you do any kind of poke, she shouldn't be able to just get a ton of life back and do it again. So
the next stuff's more interesting.
Yeah, Shatter Orb Q damage has been increased. It goes 55 to 195 from 55 to 155, so more damage later and middle part of the game. Bounce damage versus minions has been decreased to 80% from 120%, so a little bit harder for her to clear a wave. And there's been a bug fix, so Shatter Orb Orb bounces no longer count as single target spells for Spell Vamp, which I don't really know what Spell Vamp she was using anyway.
It might have just been the spell vamp available through Masteries.
Mastery.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what else it would be.
That's the only spell vamp she'd pick up.
Runes.
Okay, I wanted to check that. Yeah, so that's interesting because I wonder if she was like clearing waves too easily, which is why they dropped the damage down to 80%. I figured they might like tweak it to just like 100% or something.
No,
so that seems like a pretty hard pendulum swing.
Well, she wasn't killing people fast enough, was what it really came down to. So they wanted her to be better at killing, and if she's going to be better at killing, then she can't be as good at farming.
Oh, I agree. I just think that's like a ton of potential weight. Like she might not be able to clear the back line of minions like a level earlier, 2 levels earlier, if you drop it by 40%, how much the damage affects minions. So I don't know. I think that's
but you're pumping up the damage and the ability though. So
I agree, but it's not enough to change it that much. It actually
you're not clearing out the front
40%.
line of minions. You're clearing out the back line of minions with the bounce.
Yes, agree.
That's
I'm
what
just
he
saying,
said.
like, if you're saying it's like, if you're saying like I have to wait to level 9 instead of like level 7 or 5, I don't know when you could do it before because no one plays LeBlanc. A couple people.
Ethereal Chains, the damage has been decreased. It was 40 to 140. It is now 40 to 120. So they removed some damage to Ethereal Change and pumped it into Shatter Orb instead. Just so you should know if you're playing LeBlanc. Kog'Maw killing more of AP Kog'Maw as they slowly take an AP ratio away. Void Ooze, the damage has been decreased. It was 60 to 260. It is now 60 to 240. And the ability power ratio has gone down to 0.5 from 0.7. However, Bio Arcane Barrage, the W damage has been increased from 2 to 6% of their maximum health to 3 to 7%.
That's right, because he's an AD carry. Of this AP BS. The whole 10 people that play AP Kog'Maw, they're so sad right now. They're making so much noise. It's an AD carry, damn it!
Yeah, the 0.8% play rate, but number 2 in win rate. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I'd say number 3, but yeah, or tied with Vel'Koz, I guess.
Okay, that's ridiculous to see a tie.
Why did you have Kog'Maw in the mid lane section?
Because his mid lane got nerfed and his bot lane got buffed. That's
but
why
he's a bot lane.
That's why I put him right next to the bot laners we're going into.
All right. Well, let's talk about.
They specifically nerfed the mid lane and specifically buffed bot lane. He gets played in 2 spots.
Hey, Pound, he gets played more in mid than bot.
That's because he sucks.
Get the hell out.
Oh, okay, great.
This is you rewriting the history to fit your goddamn views. Go fuck yourself.
A lot of stupid people out there.
He's a marksman. That's why I said he should be in the bot lane. He is a marksman. Even if he's being played more, he is a marksman. That's what he's classified as.
I even left a comment addressing this.
I didn't read your comment.
Addressing why I did.
You don't read anything.
He read mine, apparently, just because I was arguing with him.
I know you were arguing. We weren't arguing. We were just discussing.
Yeah. Tit for tat.
There was no argument. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. No.
Hey, since I'm leaving right now, do you need me to hang up or will that mess up the stream? I can just leave the call on.
That will mess up the stream.
So I should leave the call on.
Just mute yourself and leave.
That's fine. We can do that.
All right.
Just
Bye,
leave.
Mitch, we love you.
Don't turn off your camera if you can possibly do that. Maybe put like a piece of paper over it. Because you'll fuck everything up. You fuck it all up. Love you, Mitch. Anyway, Mitch is gone.
Bye, Mitch.
Bot lane, Twitch, the Deadly Venom. The true damage per stack has been decreased from 2 to 6 to 1 to 5. It is worth noting that previously that they had buffed it from 1 to 6 to 2 to 6, and they nerfed it from 2 to 8 to 1 to 6, and then they rebuffed it again, so that they've been fucking with his passive damage, essentially giving it the 1 and removing the 1. But this shouldn't gut him like it did in 4.10 when they made this change, because
I was gonna say they've been changing this, but this has been over the course of several seasons, not like the last handful of patches.
Right. The major one was then 410. They gutted it down to 1-6, but they also nerfed his base attack damage down to 46 from 49. So it's worth noting that his base attack damage right now is 55.5. So that has been buffed in the interim.
Pretty damn good.
So the 55 base attack damage is really good, right? That's a lot of base attack damage. So gutting Deadly Venom hurts. And also they made Venom cast cost 70 mana.
I was gonna say it hurts. It hurts more when there's a 20 mana increase on his W to get free 2 stacks of something that's been reduced in damage.
Essentially, he's at a 56% win rate. He has to be hit, and this probably brings him down to 52% win rate.
This was a healthy spot to hit him.
Yeah.
56.
How much Twitch have you been playing recently, Pone?
A lot, actually.
Oh, a lot.
Not enough to do that well.
Yeah, I'm terrible on Twitch.
What I really want to know is how you like the new W compared to his old one.
I like it. I like it in lane a lot.
I feel like it's much better for zoning potential since it just kind of sits there and they don't want to take stacks from it. But it's not, and you don't get the guaranteed 2 stacks anymore. So I kind of like it both ways. It's like, yeah, it's pretty good, but I kind of miss the old one too.
I like it. I like it because I like to be able to drop it. People tend to walk through it or don't want to go in that area, and that lets me free farm a wave and push it or whatever it may be. Like it just gives me more utility.
So I guess that's the key for them raising the mana costs, because since you could just throw it down for zoning and you don't necessarily need it for that huge trade. You could just throw it down and be like, hey, don't stand there.
Right.
Don't get that creep kill.
Or don't stand there and walk toward my support.
do that for basically free.
Yep.
And for a lot longer time.
Right.
I don't see a problem with that.
Nothing here. Vayne, tumble, bonus damage has been decreased. They're just reverting it back to pre 6.17 numbers. So it was 0.3 to 0.7 total attack damage. It's now 0.3 to 0.5 total attack damage. And as we all know, Vayne has been ridiculous, and she'll probably continue to still be ridiculous even with this change.
Yep, most definitely.
So there you go, little Vayne nerf.
The first nerf of many, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure. I want to see them do something with her invisibility.
That's gotta go.
It's too frustrating to play against. Just being able to.
All of a sudden, it's really hard to play against her. Yeah, if you can't drop down that ward to see her.
You can't even drop a ward to see her though, because it's fucking.
Right, that's what I mean. You can't do that anymore. It sucks.
Yeah, it's too frustrating to play against. She gets too much power by being able to just tumble and go invisible. Varus, Living Vengeance, his passive, has a new plus 50% bonus attack speed on champion kills or assists. It's halved for minions and monsters. And the duration has been changed to 5 seconds in both cases. So he gets a flat 5 seconds of 50% bonus attack speed on champion kills or assists, or 25% for minions and monsters.
And it's important to note, like, it interacts with the attack speed that you have. It's not like he's just getting extra attack speed. Like, you almost end up with more attack speed as a result, as opposed to, like, it's not just a flat number on top of.
I guess I need a refresher of what Varus's old passive was, because I thought
I couldn't find it.
Was what his passive was.
Medler made a really specific comment about it that I thought I left, but apparently is not showing up in here. Or no, you know what? I just said it. I just mentioned it to Adam in Slack. Let's see if I can track it down real quick.
Does Mitch's shirt say "Let's get"? Oh, Sith face.
Is the difference bonus attack speed as opposed to just attack speed?
Yeah. So what is it? Numbers currently testing, and they went to live, are 0.5 bonus attack speed ratio on champion kills and assist. Basically, if you have 60% bonus attack speed from items, then, for example, champion proc will give you 70% attack speed because 40% base plus 30% ratio. I don't exactly know what that means, but he made it sound like this is a big change, and there's a numbers thing in here. I was actually hoping Mitch would be here for this because he tends to pick up on that stuff really easily.
Yeah, we'll leave it and probably swing back around to it with this change.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty big buff. To bot lane Varus. Mid lane Varus wasn't getting a whole lot out of it, but it's not difficult for Varus to pick up like incidental kills on minions and that type of thing. And now with it lasting 5 seconds as opposed to 3 for getting the minion kill, he can make some he can make some calculated decisions even during laning to really abuse that attack speed that attack speed edge he has over his opponent. And he didn't have to sacrifice anything to do it. He had to kill a minion. That's the thing that he's wanted to do all along anyway. But most opponents are going to actually have to activate ability to get that attack speed steroid, and he doesn't have to do it. So I think it's one of those things like it doesn't seem like it does a whole lot for Varys, but I think it bumps him up a bit.
Just the way League of Legends has played out and buffs have played out, I'm going to eat these words at some point, but I think that Varys is a shittier Ashe, and that you might as well just play Ashe out of the bottom lane if you're going to play somebody like this. But
sort
likely,
of like how Talon's a shittier Zed.
Yeah, just like Talon's a shittier Zed. Like they're both like Varys is really good.
I disagree, and I think I almost feel like he should be sneaky good right now because to our knowledge, we're still in a tank-heavy meta, and he's got a lot of tank-slaying abilities going on.
He's a much better late game. Much better late game damage than Ashe does.
He has awesome... all right.
Well,
maybe I can see that, but like he still has... And Ashe has the same issues. Like if people can get to him, you're done.
That part is similar, yeah. I mean, they definitely have similarities, but I mean, Ashe is better for engage, Varys is better for poke. Ashe
potential counter engage.
I haven't seen Varys in bot lane for so long. I'm not even sure which one's a better lane bully. Probably Ashe.
But I think the reason I say that
game.
Besides the obvious things of like the ultimate, the reason I say he's more of a shittier Ashe is because Ashe's Q is easier to use than Varys' passive with the extra attack speed, because she gets it by just auto attacking, and he has to have something die around him to get that.
We want to go into the numbers real quick.
Probably not. No, it's never really.
Again,
it's probably not worth the conversation. It's more
that
of
passive hasn't changed though. I'm still trying to figure out what's new about it. It's the word "new" that's throwing me off. It's like new.
And
this is exactly the same thing they had before.
What's frustrating me is that the wiki doesn't have the old passive listed in the background.
All it says is he gains attack speed from minion kills and a stronger attack speed bonus if a champion dies.
Yeah,
that was his old passive according to the wiki.
Yeah, and
it's the same thing.
They didn't put what was changed in the wiki. Like
right.
It's just I knew it was something along those lines, but I think it might just be more. It might just be a greater attack speed bonus at this point, but
maybe. I don't know. We're all confused.
Where is it at? So if I go to view,
are you looking at the wiki now?
Yeah, if I go to view source, I view the history of the past. Varys gains 20% bonus attack speed for 3 seconds upon killing a minion monster, increased to 40% bonus attack speed for 6 seconds upon taking down an enemy champion. So that was his previous.
So 10% more,
10%,
and then 1 second less in duration.
2 seconds less.
Well, 1 second less
1 second
if
less.
1 second less if you kill the champion, but 2 seconds more if you kill the minion.
Right.
Meh.
Okay.
I don't care. I still think he sucks. I'm not going to play him, even though I love him. I do love that champion. I just whatever.
I think he's good.
Something to note: when Brand's conflagration spreads to nearby enemies after hitting an ablaze target, the spread no longer counts as a single target spell. Probably nobody realized this happened. Nobody knew what was going on. But there you go. Just thought you should know. Garen, Judgment. Enemy champions hit 4 times have their armor reduced by 25% for 6 seconds. So his E. Mitch did some real quick pieces on this, and that it's actually not as good early as you might think, because he gets a maximum of 5 spins from levels 1 to 3, and you have to hit 4 spins to get the 25%.
So that's a really long trade if you're basically sitting on them throughout the entire spin, and then you have to use auto attacks to get that bonus.
This is some nice added utility. Like, I mean, it's straight up free added utility for a champion who like.
This makes it interesting, like especially if you accidentally end up with one of those AD heavy comps. Mm-hmm. Like, it's easy to think of Garen as somebody who's just always going to dive by the back, to the back line, but now he can kind of hang back and the
spin in front of tanks.
Yeah, spin at them as they're running through, and then 80 carries are just going to murder them because all of a sudden they've lost 25% of their armor.
He's literally tornadoing the clothes off of.
I kind of like that change, but it's going to take a long time for people to really, start doing that appropriately, because it's just as important for the 80 carries to pick up what Garen's doing.
And it at that same time too, like if somebody does just dive a carry instead of Garen just diving their backline too and maybe doing some crazy stuff. He actually can like Q silence to maybe slow them down from murdering carry while spinning to reduce armor, and then who the fuck knows, somebody dies.
Support Garen.
Welcome to the Garen, the era of Garen.
Shut up, Sean.
It gives him the option to do two different things in team fights, right? Like if he still has the option to go into the back line and blow up the AD carry, he's going to do that. But if he's up against a team that's not letting him get back there, then now he's got the option to, hey, I can actually help
something
out,
to do.
kill the tank, as opposed to just swing my wet funny noodle at them, because that's all Garen did previously.
And charge at him and get spells thrown at him.
Take this, Malphite. You do more damage than I do.
All right.
I'm running away.
Let's move on. Jungle Fiddlesticks. Drain, the W damage per tick has gone up from 60 to 180 to 80 to 180, so he's doing 24 damage per tick. Dark Wind cooldown has been decreased by 3 seconds early down to 1 second late, so it goes.
There you go. There's your Jungle Fiddlestick buffs.
Quality of life buffs.
Yeah, on top of
That's
the
not quality. That's just
bramble
buff.
back
It's not
and
quality of
everything.
life. It's just straight
Well,
up.
no,
buff.
I mean it's a quality of life buff because he got better.
His
He
life
just
got
straight
better.
up got better. His life got
Now what
better.
a quality of
His
life
is
buff
so
is.
In
high
fact,
right now.
his life is so much better now.
Quality of life buff is like smooth out somebody's auto attack animation so that now it feels proper.
you're
Literal
smoothing
definition.
out his increased damage as he just drains stuff harder.
Well, quality of life buff for everybody else. Ivern Trigger Seed, the mana cost has been increased and the movement speed slow now scales. So you have to put points into it.
70% was too high.
Yeah.
They
Who
were-
would have thought?
You're kidding me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was his max ability anyway.
Q was your max ability for longer, shorter cooldowns.
No, E was always the max ability.
Oh wait,
so
no, you're right. It was because he wanted the higher the shield.
You wanted the shield, yeah. So like, yes, the ability that was already really strong from rank 1 is not as strong at rank 1 and everything, and it's never going to be as good as it was. But you don't notice this. You won't end up noticing this for too long because it's the ability you're ranking up anyway.
Oh, you'll still notice it because it starts at 40 rather than 70. You're
Oh yeah, no,
cutting
I know.
it solid.
You're going to notice it. You're just not noticing it.
You're instead of it's not the same thing as like they just flat nerfed it forever that amount. Like you're only going to notice it for 7 minutes rather than forever if they wanted to just cut this tree off at the tree knees.
at the trunk.
Yeah, I guess.
I like tree knees.
I like tree
let's
knees.
roll
Trinity
with
is
tree knees.
fantastic. I love it.
All right, Nidalee got to change base AD up to 53, so giving her some more power back to clear
We're
a
all
little
looking
bit.
forward to her coming
easier.
back in the jungle.
Rengar, base 80 gross stat now goes to 1.5. They fixed Bone Tooth Necklace. So if you've been wondering why Rengar's been doing so much damage, it's because it was increasing based on the total attack damage instead of bonus attack damage. So you could have like 700 AD on Rengar, and that's why he was still one-shotting you.
No, you could have that much AD on Rengar while still building semi-tanky.
Right.
Which is the stupidest part.
Hopefully.
There was a bug.
Hopefully this means he's
this
just
champion
garbage
never
again
dies.
and we never have to see him anymore.
Nah, he's not garbage because it still does a flat bonus, and the flat. But he gets more AD per level. He gets more flat bonus, but the percent bonus is now 1 to 20% based on bonus attack damage instead of total attack damage. So they kind of made up for it with the gross stat, sort of, not really, but you know what I mean. That's it. We did it, boys. It took us over an hour, but we made it to patch.
Well, we raced to the finish line there. I didn't think we were going to come close to finishing this in time.
There comes a point where I realize that we spend too much time on like they were good. There were buffs that we need to talk about, but there was like a couple other big ones like Varus and stuff that I wish we probably could have spent more time on.
All right. I want to say about Varus, regardless of what you think, he might be a sleeper just because of the fact we haven't seen him in a really long time too.
Right. That's why I said I probably will eat my words. I know I will because I've done it in the past. I've said something shitty like this, and then it comes back.
I mean, the last time Varus was good, nobody fucking touched him at all, and then somebody picked him up and was like, "Oh yeah, I'm killing
mid lane.
everything." Yeah, and doing extremely well because you could just bully anybody you felt out.
Yep.
you know who's a bully?
You.
Sean.
You are a bully. No, you are a bully.
I am kind of a bully. It's because I was
You're
bullied my
such a
entire
bully.
life.
You're definitely a bully. You're not
You're a-
kind of a bully. You're
Yeah,
definitely
you're a huge bully.
I do want to read some stuff because if you guys want to leave us some reviews,
geez.
especially after listening to that entire episode, we would love to hear your reviews on iTunes. Please go out there and toss up the review up there. Give us as many stars as you want and leave a little bit of comment. We would read them on air because Skimmy the Raccoon, he wrote in with 5 stars. Great podcast filled with idiots. Love it very much. It's super helpful, informative, entertaining. Well worth your time, except for having to listen to those idiots that run the show. Much love.
Perfect. That's the perfect review. I love it.
Yeah, I like
Excellent. It's
that
got everything we're looking for.
one. Thank you.
I mean,
I'm glad we can be your
Put me
idiots.
down,
yes.
bring me up, but just don't leave me.
I'm upset that we all laughed at that.
It was good. Come on. Lathresh writes 5 stars. I've been listening for about a year now and I only have one complaint. The content is all fantastic. What? No.
Yeah, no,
Best
I did
complaint
that
to
every
have, baby.
time.
That's the best complaint to have.
I love the crew. I just have a really hard time hearing a couple of you in the car. Thank you all for your wonderful content. I'll definitely continue to listen.
That sounds like a
I have that complaint too.
screwed up. That sounds like Lancer.
Sometimes Pone fades in and out. I had this trouble when I was listening to Monday's podcast today.
Yeah, I do. I think it's because
Stop
I
doing
move.
that, Pone.
I honestly think it's because I move when I'm talking. So I'm constantly looking between my monitors to like do shit while we're doing it, and I think because I move, it does. I listened this morning and I noticed that.
Stop moving.
So it's me. Hey, the stunt guy. He left a comment in Twitch chat. He says, "I love when Pone bullies you guys. That's the only reason I listen."
No,
That's right.
Well,
no, that's not okay.
I guess we're getting bullied more,
really,
boys.
it's really not okay.
The amount of bullying will not increase. I promise. Not until 27.
Yeah, but
my New Year's resolution.
Decrease.
You know what? My New Year's resolution is to increase the amount of bullying on this show.
I quit. I'll put in my 2 weeks.
Bully culture, Pone.
This is a
Have you ever watched Shameless?
unhealthy relationship. I love that
Yes.
show.
Frank, when he goes into this isn't a spoiler, but Frank takes his son into the school who just got expelled because he was bullying kids, and he's like, "Listen,
Man, spoiler.
bullying is good. Your son is going to grow up to be a doctor because he got bullied. Your son is going to grow up to do this. My son is going to be wanking people off on the street corner or going to jail in a couple weeks. So fucking deal with it. It's great. You have to go listen to the speech. Go look up Frank bullying speech.
I don't feel like
YouTube.
I learned anything from the thing that you just said.
We just got to do
My
Patreon
life-
supporter. Yes.
My life was not enriched whatsoever by that. I feel like a lesser human now.
You know what? We got to a Shameless reference in this episode, so I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna call that a win.
All right. Well, you know, I'm going to call a win the fact that Stunt Guy said he's going to support us at Patreon. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/T-Force Network and sign up. I'm learning how to do segues better every single day. Guys, thank you so much for listening to the Trinity Force podcast. We love every single one of you. We will see you all next week. Peace.
Every single
Yeah.
See ya.